Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Penn Foster Live. We are super excited to have you guys join us here today. My name is Jenny, and I'm joined by my amazing co host, Jess. We have a jam packed session today full of a bunch of goodies just because we all came back from graduation. So we're pretty much still riding the high. Before we jump into the agenda and into the topics, I'm going to pass it off to Jess to do some quick reminders about today's session.
Hey guys, I am so excited for today's session because graduation is honestly one of my favorite things to talk about. So, cannot wait to share all of that great info with you guys. But just before we get started, if you're a current learner joining us, welcome. If you have questions about your account, definitely don't drop anything in the very public comment section. If you have questions, visit your learner center and you can get help through there. And if you are not a current student with us and you are looking to enroll or have questions about our programs, give us a call at admissions at 1-888-427-6500, and we will connect you with somebody who can get you all the answers you need. But like I said, the comment section, we want to have a conversation with you guys. So definitely keep the conversation flowing, but definitely don't drop anything personal, like your student number, your phone number, your address, anything in those public comments. Give us a call if you're not a student at 1-888-427-6500. And if you are a current student, check out your Learner Center for more info.
Thank you, Jess. So today we have an awesome agenda. We're going to start off by doing some 2025 highlights. We're going to jump into our favorite moments from graduation just because it was an amazing one this year. Things to know if you attended the ceremony, and then things to know if you want to attend in 2026. So I'm just going to jump right into it with some highlights. So this year was huge, probably one of the biggest graduations we've ever had here at Penn Foster. Um, we had over 1,600 graduates from across the country. I ran into so many grads from Cuba, Guatemala, California, Texas. There's just so many graduates from everywhere. Just would you remember how many grads you probably met during that weekend and any countries or places that you were surprised from where they flew in or drove from?
Yes, I had many graduates from Tennessee and Florida, but the one graduate I talked to that came the farthest was from Switzerland. There's actually a video of me asking her where she flew in from, and when she said Switzerland, my jaw dropped to the floor. I could not believe that somebody traveled so far to be with us. So shout out to that grad for traveling so far to be with us. It was really, really incredible.
Yeah, we met so many amazing grads from really just all over the world. So we really appreciate all of you guys flying or driving out to attend graduation. With that being said, 7,000 family members and friends there to cheer them on. So that arena was packed to the rim with cheering family and friends. It honestly was just wild. Graduates from 81 different programs from high school to college and everywhere in between, and graduates from several years, not just 2025. So, a lot of you guys that participated in this year's graduation graduated previously and still wanted to walk the stage. And we were so happy to see you guys because we want to celebrate everyone. So, it was amazing to see everybody just travel to the arena just to celebrate. And for those of you who couldn't make it, we were celebrating you just as much. Just know that we were cheering you on as well. Um, some awesome moments that I want to look back on is first off, a keynote speech from our celebrity guest, Mr. John Quiñones, a journalist and host of What Would You Do? He was able to share his success and his journey, and really his speech was just amazing. And I know a lot of you grads out there really resonated with him and just overcoming your challenges. One thing that I really remember from his speech and that stood out to me was he was just explaining his journey from learning English to wanting a successful career and going over so many hurdles and having to interact with so many people who thought that he couldn't make it or do it just because of his background or his ability to speak English. And he worked so hard and just proved everybody wrong. And he even did a special shout out to his mom. And I thought that was so sweet. And it just goes to show that community is just so important. And at the end of the day, the person that you really have to rely on and trust and believe in, most importantly, is yourself. Jess, what did you think of John and his speech? Any takeaways that you got from it?
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's actually funny because I feel like John's speech and our graduate of the year, Monet Carter's speeches were very similar in the way that the theme was not to let the adversity that you face in your life define you, and that you can overcome anything, and that your struggles don't disqualify you from success, which was a big theme of Monet's speech as well. So I think that all around, um, what our graduates got to hear from those speakers on the stage really probably resonated with them, because we know a lot of our graduates had either not finished high school prior and are going back to school, or doing an online program because it's more flexible and it fits in with their life. And that just goes to show that, like, a Penn Foster graduate really is so dedicated to their education that they are willing to, push past all that adversity and do this for themselves. And that's really, really incredible.
Yeah, I thought both speeches were just amazing. And every grad that I talked to, even after the ceremony, was just beaming with joy, thinking that they might have been alone in their journey, but to interact with others and see Monet and John speak just further prove to themselves that it was all worth it in the end. But I'm truly just happy for everybody who was in
Yeah,
the arena. It was just amazing to see how everybody has a different path, but their end goal, everybody really treasured their journey and just where it got them, and just the value of education was so important for everybody. So all in
truly.
all, those speeches were just a good reflection of the weekend. But Jess, it wasn't your first graduation. I was wondering, what was something memorable or what stood out to you this year when you attended, because it's not your first time around there. I was wondering what stood out to you, or what was your favorite moment?
Honestly, going back to Monet's speech, previously last year, we didn't have like a student speech. We had a keynote speaker and we had speeches from members of our faculty, but having a student get up there and share their story was so incredible. And something that just stood out to me, which might seem a little bit silly, but across the board, there's a lot of pet representation at graduation this year.
Yeah.
So in Monet's speech, she gave some shout outs to her friends and her family. And then she gave a very special shout out to her dog, Kimchi. And she held up a picture of him, and it was really sweet. And, she was like, he doesn't know what a graduation is. He doesn't know what an education is. But, on days when I felt like I just couldn't do it, he would curl up next to me and he'd be like, everything's going to be okay. And then Moyne had her service dog with her. His name was Sinatra, and she actually sang the national anthem. And when she sang, she put him up on her shoulder, and it was so unbelievably cute. But also, being somebody who has like a soul animal like that, like my dog keeps me company every single day. Sometimes somehow they just know when you need like that extra cuddle or that extra lick on the face. And I loved like all the pet representation, because we hear a lot about families and kids and friends, but those fur babies are really, really something that a lot of people hold really dear and really close. So that was probably my favorite part about this year, was like all the representation of cute dogs.
No, that's a good one. Definitely saw a lot of that this year. It was awesome to just see the representation. I saw a couple caps where people either put on their dogs or their cats. I think I saw a pet turtle on somebody's cap too. So the amount of love that our grads have for their supportive animals and pets was just awesome to see. I love that dedication. So it was awesome.
Yeah, but
I
Jen, this was your first graduation, which,
uh,
welcome to the crew. Now it's like one of those things that you never want to miss after you go to one. What did you think of the ceremony, and how did you feel about being around so many of our graduates at one time? Because we don't really get a lot of opportunities to see them this closely.
Yeah, so that graduation weekend is one that I will never forget. There was a lot of anticipation building up for that weekend on my side, just because For those of you who don't know, I do a lot of social media, so you might have seen my face and Jess on our Instagram account or TikTok. Make sure to follow us on there, by the way. So it was really nice for me to just finally interact with all of our grads and also their parents. I think that's something that's irreplaceable, just those in person reactions. I loved being able to meet grads that I've been emailing back and forth. It's so different when you finally get to meet somebody in person, but also their parents. There were a couple scenarios or just situations where I would interact with grads, recording for videos or just talking to them about their experience. And I see on the side their parents are just gleaming with joy. They're just so happy. I remember that there's one particular student, shout out to A1. Hopefully you're listening right now, but I remember she gave a shout out to her mom, and her mom was just on the side, very touched and emotional. And there's just so many instances. I loved seeing the community and support that our grads have. It's just awesome to be in that environment where they're really just, it's really their day, and to see every single family member with their phones up, treating them like they're a celebrity is just something that's so heartwarming. And just hearing all the stories and just the variety of it, for me, education is very important. But to see so many grads talk about it, it was just honestly amazing. There's so many moments. Like I could talk about graduation for like a whole week and do so many shout outs to all the grads that I met. So if you met me, please make sure to comment below. If you met Jess, make sure to comment below. Um, but yeah, it was just awesome. So to answer your question in short, really just meeting the grads and just hearing their stories, I think that was just a really big moment for me that weekend. So
Yeah, I can. I mean, it's amazing to hear your stories when we hear from you on social and when we, are able to connect with you virtually, but being able to see you in person and see you hug your family members and be really proud of yourself, because I feel like sometimes an online education can be a bit of a lonely journey comparatively to an in-person, education. You're doing a lot of it on your own. It's a lot of self-motivation. And then when you finish, you know, there's not a big graduation ceremony right at the end. So the fact that we have this event for grads, it just feels so important. And like you said, Jenny, not even just grads from this year, like grads from other years who maybe the year that they graduated, we didn't have a graduation because of COVID, or they finished their program right before the graduation ceremony was supposed to happen and they weren't able to make it, or for other extraneous circumstances. But giving them the opportunity to come no matter what year they graduated from is just one of my favorite things that we do. I just think it's so unbelievably important, and it's something that, like, as somebody who works here at Penn Foster, I will never take for granted. And now that you've been to one, I know that you feel the same way.
yeah, I definitely am already excited about 2026's graduation. Just hearing more stories, it was just an awesome weekend. Even though I didn't have any family or friends personally walking across the stage, I was cheering for grads because I was just so happy, especially the ones that I was able to get the opportunity to interview in the morning for our social media accounts. When I saw them waiting in line, just waving a hello and cheering for them, it's a feeling that many people don't get to experience. So I think it was awesome for me and you to be on site and just cheer on these grads who have really worked so hard to be where they're at. Um, with that being said, do you have an emotional story or memory from that day where you think this is something that I'll never forget, or you went home and you were just telling everybody like this is what happened at the arena. It was such a good story, or like this is what happened to me. You wouldn't believe it moment.
So I don't have one from this year, but I have one from last year that very, very much sticks with me. And it was my first graduation. I was extremely emotional. I was crying like the whole time, even leading up to the ceremony. But the second that the procession started, I was standing, next to one of the lines directing grads, and I just have tears streaming down my face. And this older woman came up to me and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I'm just really happy for all of you. And I'm just really grateful to be here and to be a part of this day with you. And she put her hand on my arm and she said, I am 60 years old and I never thought I would get a high school diploma. And you guys helped me do that. And I'm so grateful, not only for this day, but because Penn Foster exists. And I was like, you're not helping the tears, but it was just like this really beautiful connection moment. And I know that there are grads just like her who were there this year, who will be there next year, and who will continue to be at our graduation ceremonies as time goes on. And that moment will always stick with me as one of somebody just being like, are you okay? And me being happy for them and then them sharing their story so proudly on that day. It was just amazing. So that's definitely my go-to graduation story, even though it wasn't from this year's graduation. But how about you? Did you have a moment where the emotion just kind of took over?
Yeah, there were so many moments. It's really hard to choose one just because I interacted with so many grads who had great stories. But I think one that I really remembered is just going around and interacting with grads while they're waiting in line for the ceremony to start. And a lot of the grads, most of the times, for those of you who are watching, you don't really know anybody else in your program. You're kind of alone doing at home. But the amount of unity that I saw while these students were waiting in line was just amazing. I was able to interact with 5 to 6 students, and after chatting with them, they had their own little friend group. They exchanged their social media handles, their numbers. They actually found each other in the Penn Foster alumni group too. So we're going to drop that in the chat if you want to reconnect with some friends that you made there. But just seeing the 5 of them from different parts of the country come together and talk about their experience and become friends, that was just amazing to see the amount of support. And it's not just that one particular group of students. I saw so many grads who pulled in other grads that they didn't know to take photos with each other. And it's just awesome to see how kind everybody was, no matter how old they were or just their differences, to pull strangers in on a day that is also your moment and just share that with other people too is something that I won't ever forget because it's so rare nowadays to just see strangers come together in general and just be so friendly. So to see a group of 5 to 6 grads who one was 16, another one was 55. It was just amazing to see that that particular weekend was just able to just unify everybody. So that's something that I won't forget. And you don't see that a lot at graduations. So I think that's something that really makes Penn Foster's really just stand out, that everyone is there for a reason and you're just able to relate and make new friends, even though you never met them before. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely a absolutely beautiful day filled with really beautiful moments. But that being said, there are definitely some things that you'll want to know if you attended the ceremony. So Jenny, um, where can grads find the live stream? Where can they find their photos? What's all that info?
Yeah, so there's a lot of great ways to relive the awesome day. And even if you didn't attend, you guys are more than welcome to go to these links. We'll drop them in the comments below so you guys have it. But for the live stream, we still do have it available on our Penn Foster Facebook page. Parts of it will also be available on our YouTube page as well, which will drop. In terms of photos, many of you guys by now should have gotten an email with your proofs, so that you're more than welcome to purchase those and hang those up in your room or send it to your grandma, grandpa, whoever you want to send it to. We also have a link to a Flickr album, which has hundreds of amazing photos from that day. So you guys are more than welcome to take a look at that photo. Hopefully, you guys spot yourself in there and you're able to share that on your social media account or do whatever you want with it. So there's lots of ways to relive that day. And as I mentioned, you'll be able to do that with the links that we're dropping in the comments below. But Jess, another big thing, we know at Penn Foster, we sold out so quick for 2025's graduation. It is super hot, you guys. So if you're wanting to attend in 2026 when we have more news to come, I really recommend registering as soon as possible once you fill out all the requirements. But Jess, what is it that grads should know if they want to attend next year's graduation?
Yes. So while we don't have a lot of information right now, it won't be long before we start planning for next year. We don't have a date or location locked down yet, but it's never too late to start planning to reach your goal so that you can attend next year. So if you're a current student or you're brand new to Penn Foster, use the future graduation ceremony as a motivator to complete your courses so that you can attend. And if you're a grad who didn't have a chance to attend this year, no worries, you can still attend in 2026 even if you graduated in 2025 or earlier. So if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I missed it, you did it. We have one every year, and we will be more than happy to welcome you next year to our ceremony. So just keep an eye on your emails, our socials, the alumni group, all of those places, because we try to get you guys the information as soon as we have it. So definitely keep your eyes open for information about 2026 grad, and hopefully you see both of us there.
Yeah, you guys, if you weren't able to attend 2025 and you're going to 2026, like I said, make sure to register as soon as possible when we have that information available. It's honestly an amazing weekend full of good memories and just awesome opportunities to meet like-minded people. You'll get to meet cool, amazing people like Jess here. It's just an awesome weekend. So make sure to go. Um, and yeah, we're going to drop a bunch of awesome links in the chat. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions about Penn Foster or if you're thinking about enrolling, um, call us at 188-427-6500. Or if you're a current learner, make sure to visit your learner center to get help. We're always here to help you guys progress in your program. If you want to catch up on any past episodes of Penn Foster Live, be sure to check out our YouTube channel, which we'll link below. If you're a Penn Foster alum or soon to be, if you're at graduation and you made a couple friends and lost contact, this is an awesome time for you guys to join. We'll drop that in the chat below. But yeah, like I said, we're going to drop a lot of awesome links, to be honest, in the comment. Just make sure to check out those. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us, you guys. Until next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.